You're listening to Crazy Shit in Real Estate. You'll be amazed at all these wild but true situations that others have found themselves in. Because on this show, you'll hear uncensored, unbelievable stories from the world of real estate. I'm Leigh Brown. Let's dive right in.
I'm Leigh Brown. This is Crazy Shit in Real Estate. Today, I have a great guest, Bill Whitaker, who used to be my competitor / colleague here in the Charlotte market, moved out to the coast, changed gears in real estate. We have a conversation that goes in, as you expect, about 4 different directions. You're going to enjoy Bill very much. So enjoy the conversation, and I'll see you on the other side.
I was listening to one of your podcasts and it said your husband was a Broncos fan. So.
Oh, that's the only team he likes. And so we even got him this wonderful Christmas sweater that has lights in it. So it's a Broncos light up Christmas sweater. And that's the one goofy piece of clothing he enjoys wearing.
Yeah, I actually have a bunch of hats. I mean, that I don't even use. I'll get up Melissa or Michelle and probably send you, because I don't even wear them. I mean, they're just sitting there. They got the labels and stuff on that and all that. So I'm like, I don't even wear them. So
what, did you quit wearing hats in general?
Well, the football, I pretty much everything I put up, because the change in the NFL, I pretty much don't watch anymore because, yeah, exactly. And
well, I tried to ban it in my house. I didn't have any success at that, but he knows how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think about the only sport that hasn't gone downhill is probably bowling or hockey.
You know, my husband is bowled to 300. He's little Mr. Bowling, but that's a New York because he's a Yankee and all that. But I don't know. Hockey was good until here lately. The Canadian side of the ice is acting a little bit too much like the people with no sense. But you know,
well, they ruined NASCAR. I used to watch NASCAR, and it's like I've lost NJ. They ruined that. And you probably know what I'm talking about. A couple of years, was it last year?
Well, it actually got super ruined, I guess probably it's been more than 20 years ago, because I always had seats in the second turn at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Ford grandstands, because I'm a Blue Oval girl, because that's what my granddaddy was. And so that's where we sat, and those tickets were cheap. And we would rent the scanner so you could listen to the teams, which is, now that I say that out loud, you young people have no idea what I'm talking about, but we did not have these. You had to rent a special set of headphones to hear what's going on in the pits. But then when they turned it over to corporate money, my seats went from, I think we were paying like $18 a seat, and they went to $100. And all of the people that used to sit around us, we had working people, they could no longer afford that, because now you're talking, $400 for your 4 people.
Yeah, we went to a race a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, and it took us about 3 hours to get out of the parking lot. And it was I think it was like the Coca-Cola 500 or something. Anyway, I'm not doing this anymore. I said, I just can't do it.
It's not the same sport that I grew up with. And I mean, I'm a Bill Elliott fan from way back. So I know from Dawsonville, but the drivers now, they can't fix their own cars. And that's where my purist nature crops up. Is the point of NASCAR was always, it was people who could work on their own cars, just go out and race them. That's why I do love drag racing still. I think drag is the last real racing available, or the dirt tracks. Dirt tracks are special. If you want to ruin your clothes, I could never wear this. It would just turn orange.
Yeah, I go to Darlington. They had the drag race in there, and that's pretty cool there. But when I was working in Vietnam at base ops there, we had Marshall Carlton and those guys would come in. The Hendrick team would come in. So I got to meet them, and then, but he would come in, and then the drivers would come in. They would bring hats and stuff and all that, but they were there to see the troop. But they came to us first because we were base operations when they came in off the airplane. And
I love that.
Chris and I, the pilot, when I would go down to Marshall, he always wanted a sandwich. So we would jump in the car and go down to the sandwich shop. He loved those sandwiches, and then he would have it in his cooler in his helicopter before he left. So Chris and I would jump in the car, run down and get his sandwich and stuff and come back. But we got to meet all those team. I mean, I had all these hats and stuff like that. It was great. So
different era, right? I don't want to always say, we had it way back then, because that makes us old. But I mean, we did have things a little better in a lot of regards, I think.
Yeah. Privacy.
I mean, that being said, that's gone. But honestly, I was about to say, with that being said, you need to tell my audience who you are and where you're located, but Google already knows where you are. Audience may not.
Yeah. Well, I'm Bill Whitaker. I am located in Little River, South Carolina. We moved from Fort Mill. I was a realtor in Charlotte, and I think you got your license in 2000. I got mine in 2003.
All right.
And so that we lived in the Fort Mill for like 20 some years, and we just sold out and moved 2 years to the Myrtle Beach area. I actually was
Wait a minute. You can't call Little River the Myrtle Beach area. We
North Myrtle Beach
in my
area.
crowd of friends, we refer to Little River as the rough edge of South Carolina because it's a rough edge right down through Little
No,
River.
you call it Sub Carolina. I heard that. I don't know.
Hey, listen, that came from the state you're in, which is easily the best Facebook account out there. It is Sub Carolina, but you're in the rough edge, and you know it. When I go down to go to crab catchers, man, that ain't fancy down there. You were in bougie in Fort Mill. It's not bougie in Little
Yeah,
River.
it's just, I actually live right here close to crab catchers. I can see the water, so I can walk to the like we're getting ready to have the crab festival. If you ever come down to crab festival, I'm right here. I can put you on the golf cart and drive you down. But I'm a member of the Little River Chamber of Commerce and stuff, so I go and do and participate with it and stuff. But if you ever down this way, I mean, you could park right here in the yard, with crab catchers and stuff and all that. But yeah, I can walk to the crab catchers, so I'm right here. So it's great. I love Little River.
What all y'all should know is, I mean, it's actually in the Myrtle Beach area, but Little River special. And if you ever go to real seafood, you go to crab catchers because it's literally coming off the boat. Now they're slow. I cannot guarantee the service because you never know what you're going to get in there. There's always some cougars sitting at the bar, which is hilarious to watch, but the food is so fresh and good. And that's our go-to.
Yeah, we love watching the boats go by. Now that I'm a member of Freedom Boat Club, people get to watch me cruise by on the ICW.
So have y'all done any of the little flotillas down through there?
No, we do a tri-tune. Freedom Boat Club is right here, the bridge, the turn bridge. And I go down there and just jump on the boat and cruise down the ICW. I'll go up the Ocean Isle and Holden Beach and then back south and all that.
Okay, so tell us what it was like to change markets, but in the same state, because we know that a lot of agents think they can serve the whole state. We obviously have to dispel that myth, but the consumer sometimes thinks that too, because I'll get calls like, well, you're in North Carolina. Can you help me over in Raleigh? I'm like, no, I got people. And I'm sure that you found the same thing, but you picked up and moved. How have you found that transition? Easy, hard, harder than you thought, easier than you thought, different?
The agents here are different. I mean, just to be clear, I actually put real estate on the back burner for a number of years. I actually built my home measuring photography company there in Charlotte, and it was very successful. It got to the point where I was like training people. So I actually have 3 people in the area who took over my book of business who did very well, and 2 of them are realtors and 1 is not, but they took over my book and they're doing very well. But I mean, I walked away from that to come here, but we had 22,000 members plus a canopy, and here I think it's like 5,400. So it's a big difference.
And that's big in South Carolina.
Yeah. And the good thing is I'm right here on the border. So not only am I working with the agents at Coastal Carolina, I'm working with the agents with Brunswick County Association too. So, but I joined both associations as an affiliate, and at Coastal as a realtor. But the market is different. I mean, the agents are different. There's a lot of good agents here. There's a lot of good agents and a lot of good agents in Charlotte, but they do things different here. Especially when it comes to marketing. And that's one thing that I hit on is the measuring and the marketing and the doing that to the right thing for your customers or your clients to get that house advertised and stuff. And that's one of the things I keep stumping on, compared to agents in Charlotte. Just things are different here. They markets slow down. I mean, there's more. They're building houses here. What's happening here now is what happened in Fort Mill. The new builders, the farmers are selling out. They're building houses like crazy. Even up here in Little River on Highway 90. I mean, it's just like boom, 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 boom. And people are moving down just like they did in Fort Mill, and they're buying them up. The resales are sitting on the market longer now because of that. Rental properties, are sitting on the market longer, a lot
Really?
longer. Yeah, I was just talking. I did a house yesterday with a person that owns and they do property management. We were chatting about that, and she was telling me, she said, "Bill, this stuff is sitting on the market because all the new construction, people buying them up and renting them out, and people are going for that." And we have a rental, we have a seasonal rental that we do, but we only rent it out to like realtors coming down, to if they want to come down and show houses or whatever. But we only rent it. Like my wife's a retired kindergarten teacher, so our teacher buddies come down, and it's 1 block off the beach, so they're all.
Oh, but that's
So,
great because they have a trust factor, and then she has a trust factor, which allows you
yep,
to not
yeah,
stress out about that rental. But let's define something really quick for our audience, Bill, since part of our viewers and listeners are not in real estate, they're just interested in it. When Bill defines measure, y'all, he's talking about the heated living area of a property because the realtor is responsible for the accurate information of a listing. And now, if you measure a house, I can call 3 different guys. They'll all come up with a different number because some people look at cantilevers different. They calculate the walls and the staircases and the 2-story spaces. There's some odd things. But in general, the public does count on the heated living area of a house, also called the square footage. But I have to toss it in here so all y'all can hear me keep saying it. That's not how you value a house. Dollars per square foot is a number concocted by Zillow, and it is an indicator of value. It is not the indicator of value, but because it's in all the algorithms, we all have a responsibility to give you good information. And then because I, as a realtor, do know how to measure a house and I'm responsible for it, I do find that those with an appraiser's background or a measuring background will often have a more consistent outcome. So I do, as a realtor, hire someone to professionally measure the house, put us a sketch together, and give the consumer some confidence. And many realtors do the same thing. So when he's talking about measure, that's what he's talking about. And then, of course, I think everybody expects professional photography now, Bill. I find that to be something that's become a market standard overall. The public wants it, but we still have people that want to take
yeah,
cell phones. So,
that's it. Yeah, and you
but
still do it.
you do mention that the market's different. Of course, down at the coast, you're in a heavy second home resort market. You've got a lot of people with seasonal rentals. What is the big difference in marketing? Is it because your public that's looking at the properties is primarily out of the area, or what makes it different?
Yeah, one thing I'm seeing that I hear is the measuring. It's not required in South Carolina. It's actually not required in North Carolina. But if you do, North Carolina Real Estate Commission says if you do it, it must be accurate. So we use the ANSI standard. And when I started my business, I actually went and got my home measuring specialist designation. So I was trained by an appraiser, and only 2 people can carry this is realtors and appraisers. Only 2. Plus you get like 4 hours of CE. But so that's one of the things that I did was actually got trained properly. And that's one thing I try to tell agents. I say, look, when you're hiring people, you're a professional. You should be hiring professionals. And at least ask for credentials. How did you learn how to do this? So back to your question is what I'm seeing is a lot of agents, they're just whoever's cheapest, you know. And I see a lot of agents here using cell phones, doing photos. I actually started doing free classes at the board on measuring and photography. I just finished a class on photography, just teaching basics. If you're going to use a cell phone, at least, I try to tell them, use a tripod, because you have pictures up here, sideways, at least use a tripod. But I try to get agents to do professional photos, and it's not that expensive. I mean, and that's one thing I try to harp on is, the measuring thing is the big thing because, I mean, there's agents every month losing their license, getting revoked. They're getting reprimanded now. You look at North Carolina Real Estate Commission bulletin. That's one thing I show in my classes is that, look here, the people getting reprimanded. They're not only reprimanding the agent, they're reprimanding the firm. And there you go. You're on record now. You're not doing your due diligence. It's a material fact. You need to be disclosing it properly. And the big thing is the using tax records. I mean, thank goodness North Carolina Real Estate Commission finally released that in November of 2023. They said It's responsibility of the broker in charge and the broker on the measurements. It's not the vendor. A lot of agents think that, oh, yeah, I'll just, the vendor will pay for it. No, they don't. It's on you as the realtor. And I try to, get agents to understand this. And I'm trying to educate agents on this because there's too many agents losing license. They're losing commissions. I mean, I got a guy here in Oak Island gave up $18,000 in commission over measurements. And I was like, why? Because not doing their due diligence and hiring the right people to measure. And the appraiser came out and says, yeah, you're 162 square feet off.
Okay, so the agent get tagged for it because the real estate commission, and by the way, y'all, if you're in another state, always check with your state about your state regulations. As Bill's already mentioned, North and South Carolina have two different sets of rules. And so as someone who's licensed in both states, just as Bill is, it's important for us to understand the differences because it's not uniform. But when you're looking at the square footage, and as I mentioned before, there can be variances because you can measure houses differently. There is a built-in variance that the commission doesn't hold you responsible for simply because it's not going to be one for one. But something obviously happened with an $18,000 settlement. So give us a little bit of story there without using names or places because we want to protect the guilty, of course.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing here is actually one of my clients, she actually went to court over it. And this will be a good story for you. I'm going to hook you guys up and let her tell this story. It is a wonderful story where she actually went to court. So, but yeah, as far as this agent here, he was actually the owner of the company, of the BIC. And what happened was, he had the measurements ordered, and the guy used the program that I use, but it was a different type phone. So I tell agents, I say, look, if you're going to use this program, you need to use an iPhone, not a Samsung Android product, because it doesn't use LiDAR. And your LiDAR is what calculates your square footage.
What does LiDAR mean?
LIDAR, it's a light indicator. It does on the phone, it does your measuring. You'll see the little green.
Oh, so if I'm using a little app, like my little measure app in my phone, that's what finds the starting point, the end point?
Yeah, it has to be a Pro or Pro Max. You have to have a Pro or Pro Max. And that Apple phone has LiDAR when you're doing your measuring. So, but when you use this app to do the measuring, it has the LiDAR on the phone and you get accurate. I mean, it's down to inches now. I've been using this program for like 5 years now, and they've come a long way, and it does magnificent. But
All right, so let me ask you, because everybody else is doing what I'm doing. They're looking at their phone. So now that I know I have a Pro and I've got this measure app, that little circle in the middle, this is a LiDAR thing, and it's built into the phone.
The program, if you don't mind, I'll tell you what the app is. The agents
tell me, because it's not the one that came with my phone, right?
No. So, okay. So the app is it's called Cubicasa, and
that's an NAR promoted vendor.
That's right. So they actually are. You'll see in the news they actually got it where New Mexico and Arizona now all their MLSs require floor plans. So wherever you are throughout the country, your standards may be different, but all listings should have a floor plan with the measurements, because that's what people are looking for. Even though it's not the main thing, it is a variable that people look at, square footage and a layout of the home. So it does it. But I actually got our board to get on board with Cubicasa. Now all the agents get 25% off. Canopy, I do believe, has signed up with them, and all the agents get 25% off by using that. I am not being paid. I'm not affiliated with. I just love their product.
And I use other products.
Yeah, because I've got iGuide. You'll see Bobby the camera in the background stuff. I got all kinds of other stuff, and I do hands-on measuring too. So, but the thing is, it goes back what we were saying was that measurement is so important. And my mentor is an appraiser, and he has the HMS program, and I try to get agents to understand the importance of this. And really what it boils down to is the local realtor boards and the brokers in charge to push this and require it of their agents to do this. And the good thing about it is, by having floor plans and measurements, no matter where you are, it eliminates the legal risk of getting sued, errors and omissions claims, and having to give up your commission. good story is right before I left Charlotte, I I was training one of my guys who does very well now in the area. We showed up at the house and she was crying. And I'm like, what is wrong? She's like, oh, I'm closing tomorrow. I said, okay, that's fine. I said, what's the deal? She said, I've got to get the house measured. I said, wait a minute. You are closing tomorrow and you need to measure the house. She goes, yeah, I use tax records. I said, look, I'm going to measure this and you'll have it this evening. Don't, it's okay. And she goes, no, you don't understand. She said, the tax records are way off and I'm losing my commission and possibly an errors and omissions claim. I was like, oh my God. I said, why did you not measure? I mean, the measurement was it was a house. I said, for $100, you could have, do this. She goes, I learned a valuable lesson. So, but yeah, it was off. And, that's the kind of stories that I tried to relay to agents. Like, look, don't put yourself in this situation where your licenses are at risk. You're getting sued. Your firm is getting sued. Errors and omissions claims, which they can deny because if you didn't do your due diligence. So I'm trying to make this aware. That's why I do these free classes. I'm getting ready to start doing webinars on this. But the whole thing is that the realtor boards need to push this. So if you're out there, please talk to your realtor board and your brokers as far as.
And I know that it's interesting we can have this whole big conversation about something that seems so mind-numbing as measure, but for the people out there who think, why can't I trust the tax records? Okay, so first of all, have you ever really believed in the accuracy of anything at the tax office? You can't, because they're going off what's turned in. And so for many homes, especially the new homes that you mentioned earlier, Bill, they often turn in a floor plan. Well, that floor plan may have had so many modifications done to it that it's not even remotely accurate. Some people do their permits and some people don't. And then it's just not exact. It's the same reason your tax value is not exact. It's being made up by people in a little office down at the courthouse who are just kind of scratching through. So you can't count on that. And if you're an agent, I'm just going to be the difficult person here who says the same ones of y'all that scream about nobody should be coming after your commission dollars are the same ones trying to save $100 by not hiring somebody to do the measure of your home. Oh, yeah, that's right. So if you're the professional who wants to defend what you're charging to the public, show them all the value. Show them that you're willing to have it professionally measured. Show them that you invest in professional photography, that you invest in drone photos, and that you're concerned about floor plans. I mean, the floor plan thing, for anybody that thinks it's not important, I had a closing on Monday. They moved to North Carolina from Colorado, and they had some very big furniture that they love, some very solid wood furniture, not the IKEA stuff. They did not want to replace it. And because they were buying a house that was built in the 70s, the ceilings aren't real tall. So we're having to measure to see our wall space. The floor plan mattered to them because they needed wall space for case goods. And I don't know about you, but I'm just so glad we've moved out of that era of the mid 90s of the completely open floor plans. And now we're getting back to some structured space, because I'm grateful for that. But it all goes back to people count on the space to know where their stuff will go. The bank's counting on it to know what they're lending on. The tax office is wildly inaccurate, and you're the professional getting paid. So why wouldn't you want it to be as accurate as possible? But I do have to add in something here for my consumer viewers and listeners who are just kind of hanging out because y'all are addicted to real estate. Let me tell y'all something. The square footage is not how you pick a house, because I can show you a house that at 1,700 square feet feels enormous because it's got a very smart plan. And I could show you a 2,400 square foot house with less usable area because of the plan. So just make sure that you understand the number should be a guide and not a be all end all. But when you're the realtor, you got to remember you do have liability and responsibility for it. And Bill, I don't think we talk about this nearly enough in pre-licensing. And I know a lot of brokers just are so busy with other things, they're not focused on it. So I'm so grateful that you're talking about something that seems small, but is in reality a huge factor when it comes to the value of property.
So if you're in real estate and you're listening to this podcast or watching it and thinking, man, I need some more Leigh Brown answers in my life. Well, guess what, friends? I have a new program that is launching right now called Answers.Real Estate. where I will give you every bit of insight I have to help you grow your real estate business, help you better respond to consumers, to provide a more excellent real estate experience, so that the next time you land on crazy shit in real estate, you'll have a better solution to whatever you ran into. Answers.real estate. There are monthly plans available. You will love it. Get your coaching. Sign up with me today.
Yeah, it's very important because when what really alerted me when I started the business, and I knew I didn't want to sell houses, so I took a big break. I did referrals, and I want to do something different, but I didn't want to leave the real estate business. And I said, okay. But I really started to notice, I was like, oh my gosh, these numbers are off. Tax records are off. I mean, they missed the top floor. They didn't cut out the foyer area. There's extra 400 square feet here when it shouldn't be. And agents are arguing. You know what? I had the biggest disagreements about condos. Condos, especially here at the beach. I mean, they have been inaccurately advertised. And condos, you measure from paint to paint and everything
I
else.
was just going to say, that seems like the easy kind, Bill. I'm sitting
No,
in the beach condos I've been in, their boxes.
no, they what they did is they mismeasured them. They took and the other thing is, don't trust the builder measurements. Don't do that, because when the slab might be 6 inches more that day or less, but I run into that too, where sellers, they resell new construction and they're mad because they paid for 2,700 square feet and they got
Right.
2,500. So I tell agents, I said, look, please measure, make sure, use that program. That's why I teach it. You could go around and do your own measurement and know what your client's getting. But, it's just, I try to get agents to understand the importance of this measuring. And I know what we need a national standard. We don't. And I know Fannie Mae has, about 3 years ago, they came in and said, all appraisers must use the ANSI standard, and Freddie Mac picked it up, and then VA is going to pick it up. But what really was unique, brace yourself for this, Fannie Mae in the future, cubic feet. They're talking going to cubic feet instead of square feet. It's cubic feet. So I'm trying to bring awareness to the measuring and say, look, y'all need to understand how this stuff works, because something so little, why risk your license over $100? Why would you do that? And going back to what you were saying earlier, I think the NAR and our state association should have a marketing standard. When you start talking about value, I mean, I listened to you talk about, your value as a realtor. To show your true value. Now, I know some people don't like to hear this, but you need to be more professional about getting your professional photos, your floor plans, and please, the 3D tours, the video tours. I mean, NAR did a report, was it 2 years ago? 94% of the people want to see this stuff, but only 16% of the agents actually do it. But, when you get in a conversation about the value of your commission or value of you as a realtor, when you don't do measurements and you take pictures with a cell phone, put a sign in the yard, really, what are you really showing there? So I try to talk about that, but I think the NAR, it needs to be like the code of ethics, marketing code of ethics.
I think it's going to actually land on the local associations, because NAR's got its hands full trying to stay right now. But I'm very horrified over the idea of cubic square footage, Bill, because I know length times width times height.
It was shocked.
I remember that from class, but holy crap, how?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was taking a CE class with appraisers. And of course, appraisers, when they're talking trash about realtors, how realtors talk trash about appraisers. But, I see, and here's
bad manners on both sides. Bad.
Yeah. Bad MLS. Yeah. You put junk in, you get junk out, But yeah, but appraisers, they are actually starting their own MLSs. I'm talking to other appraisers like Texas and a few other states. They started their own MLS because the realtor MLS is so bad. It's the square footage is so bad in there. So, but.
Well, and then you have boards like in Atlanta, they don't have square footage in their MLS at all. So you've got, then theirs is only on room measurements, which is kind of good in a way, because it does take you away from the reliance on square footage as an indicator of anything, but also hard because you're trying to establish some baselines of value and somewhere to start drawing a line. And look, y'all, we just talked for almost 30 minutes about measuring houses. Hey, look, you stuck with us, so good on y'all. So, Bill, of course, my whole podcast is built on the crazy stories around real estate. Yeah. super curious because I wanted to talk to you mainly because you're in a different niche. You've changed markets. You've been in different states, different local associations. So, what have you seen in and around real estate that you find to be just a little bit jaw dropping that you would love people to know about?
Well, from sitting in a chair of the business that I'm doing now is how can I put this tactfully?
You don't
Um,
say this is called crazy shit. I got the little black box with the E in it because I wanted to
yeah,
with you.
yeah. So I'm seeing more agents just not taking the industry seriously. There's a lot of people coming into the business, which there's a lot of people that shouldn't be in the business. But the thing too is, I mean, a lot of people are in it where, okay, I was at a closing and my agent made 30,000 in commission and I can do that too. And a lot of younger people too, not pointing the finger at them, I'm just saying, but there's a lot of good young people coming into business that I've seen here locally who do a really good job with advertising and all that. But there's some of them who do it, but they still cut corners. I mean, I see a lot of older agents and new agents cutting corners on marketing, and even transaction stuff. I mean, I've got a horror story. Well, right next door to me, I got a terrible story. What's going on right now? Because hey, I even sent pictures to the agent that the yard is flooded, and it wasn't disclosed. So,
Did the
um,
agent respond when you told them there was a flooded, undisclosed yard? Undisclosed
uh,
flooded yard?
yeah, there's a whole email strand that I had to send to the attorney. So, so
Okay,
that's in
but
the making.
just to be clear, you're the neighbor
I
of.
am the neighbor. I sent a picture,
Can we talk
and the
about
agent.
that though? Because I think agents forget this angle. They forget that when you fill out that disclosure and your seller is keeping something back or you think you're going to get by with it, the person who lives right next door is fully aware of
Yep,
just about everything and who they are
realtor.
loyal to. They're not loyal to the person who's leaving. They're like, you know what? I'm fixing to have a new neighbor. Let me keep the next neighbor happy. Come on, y'all. You are not just an active licensed realtor. You are the neighbor busybody. Come on, y'all. This is why we disclose material facts. You cannot hide things. Can't do it.
Yeah. It was on the disclosure. I contacted the realtor, let the realtor know, and the realtor not only listed the property, but sold the property.
Oh,
Um,
double ended it. Okay, great.
and now my neighbor cannot live in the house because they discovered some really bad stuff because of the flooding. And
Oh, so more than just the yard? Was it in the crawl space? Are we on a slant,
it's gotten deeper. Yeah, it's
literally?
yeah. So, but yeah, 'cause right now it's an ongoing issue, and I have provided the information to the owner about the transaction, that communication and stuff. So where it goes is up to her, but I'm sitting on the fence. I know what I can do as a realtor, but I'm choosing not to right now. I want to see how things go with the owner and the attorney.
Well, to be fair, it's their house, right? And you wanna
Yep,
honor
right.
their desire to chase it or not chase it, but if you're in the public listening to this, maybe as you're interviewing agents to represent you when you purchase or when you sell, just toss in your little list of questions. How do you feel about material facts and disclosure? Just ask them. Who are you going to hide things from? Will you ever hide things from me? I don't know that I've seen a checklist online that includes that question, Bill, and I think it's a wonderful one for a buyer to ask their agent. How are you going to lay eyes on it? To ask their listing agent, are you the person who will cut corners and hide stuff or not? It's fair.
Yeah, and always get the home inspected. That was one of the problems.
So wait a
Always.
minute. So this agent represented seller and buyer and then also did not recommend the home inspections.
Don't know yet. I'm understanding that there was no home inspection done. So that's the whole thing. And these were things that were brought up during our conversation with my neighbor. And I'm like, yeah, this is you got a mess on your hands. So, but yeah, from what I see here, from Charlotte, like we had a lot more realtors there. I mean, a lot more business. And I was well known. I still have people calling me from Charlotte. I'm like, I'm at the beach now. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, here's some guys that call. You're
Right.
down here at the beach. Come on down. I got a little rental property. So you can stay here at the beach. Oh, okay, great. I'll even take you for a boat ride.
And then if you want to buy one, I help you with that too. Hey.
Well, now, because I'm getting ready I'm starting up the business. And that's why I actually signed up for your coaching course. And we'll be talking about that later on, but I'm kind of like treating myself as a new agent because I've stepped back for so long just doing referrals and stuff, but I'm actually getting ready to start back, and I'm working on a website right now and get ready to jump back in. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm taking a nice little break, and it's time to, I see a lot of things happening. There's only a few agents here who actually do their own photography, and they do it very well. And I've noticed the ones who are realtors and do their own stuff that they do a good job. And
Okay, well then we'll go ahead and give a shout out. That's Jeremy Blanton over at Remax Southern Shores. Jeremy is a trained photographer. His photos are amazing, and he is a listing and a buyer's agent. But Jeremy is a rare bird because he's actually trained with his camera.
yeah, and that's another thing too is ask your photographer where they were trained. Like I went to the photo classroom. I was trained. Brian Osborne, he's got a great operation there. But I went through all the training and stuff with them, and they do a lot of big stuff there. They actually do some stuff with your favorite bank, BAFA.
They've been my favorite for a long time. They love.
I know.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, actually, I'm going through your book. I got your book on Audible years ago, and because I've been following you and Heidi. I think I did a transaction with Heidi years ago, and then I discovered you. And then when your book came out, I got it on my Audible, but I just finished it again, going through it again. So I'm starting from the beginning. But I've got your book, and then I've got your courses and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm like starting over is what I'm kind of doing. And
that was Heidi Hines he's talking about, y'all. She's
Heidi Hines,
realtor
Hey,
friend
Heidi.
with Hine and Bill. We love her to pieces. And I tell you, it dispels one of those myths that we can be in the same market and people don't get along. We have wonderful friends inside the real estate business because we need each other. And if you have an agent that's antagonistic, you got a problem agent on your hand because most of us really do like each other really well. Now, you mentioned going back to the beginning of your real estate brain and rebooting. And I've done that multiple times in my 25 years. I think it's the mark of real estate pros who realize, okay, things have gotten a little bit out of whack. Let me just start like I'm brand new, except that when we start like we're brand new now, when we're not, we can scale it pretty quickly, which is the point of real estate and of good real estate training is that you don't have to make all your same mistakes multiple times. I'm probably due for a reboot again myself, Bill. So if you're rebooting your business right now, what is the one thing you're going to do differently this time as you look at real estate with a fresh set of eyes in a new market?
Well, I'm going to go back to 2008 when I lost my Remax office. So I'm not going to make the same mistakes. There were a lot of mistakes I made then as an owner in the PIC. And one thing I'm not going to do is have a bunch of agents. So, but yeah, and what I am going to do was my most successful time is I had a business coach. And when things started going down with Remax, so my partner and I, my business coach gave me great advice to get out. And that's another story I could tell you. You'd love that.
I guess you're going to have to come back for part 2 at some point. So y'all burning up the comments. If you think Bill should come back for part 2, go ahead and add it to the comments and we'll put him on the list.
Yeah, that's a great story there. But yeah, one thing is I'm not going to get in too deep with things. I'm going to make some changes how I do my business model. I'm going to find a mentor. That's the one thing is have a mentor, hint, hint. And so someone that I had, has a good relationship, but who is similar to, personality, stuff like that. Someone I like. So hint, hint. And then, go from there. But I am going to have a mentor and guidance. I'm going to let that person guide me, and then when I started my business in the career, in the real estate business, I didn't do that when I started out. And I was, up and down and stuff, but, I did my best when I owned the Remax. That was really great. I mean, I was flying high. It was awesome. I worked 16-hour days, but I loved it, and I was doing very well. And then all of a sudden it blew up.
Well, the
So,
market kind of blew up on you too. And then, of course, the company changed at that point. That was when it
yeah,
was from regions back to LLC. So obviously
yeah,
that's internal brand stuff, but it changes how things go. And change can be good and change can be rough. So let me ask you a question then. Since you've said it like 4 times now that you want to do some more mentoring and more coaching, what do you think if we did a live coaching session on video for everybody to watch how coaching should work?
yeah. I mean, yeah,
I won't even charge you for it if you're willing to be vulnerable about it.
I
I'll let
love
the
it.
world see.
Yeah. Because I got into coaching. I mean, I got
It'd be
people
fun.
own their own businesses and stuff. I'd love to do. I mean, that's. I don't know if you saw the notes I sent it. One of my goals in the future is actually starting a school because Bill. I don't know if you know Bill. Everybody knows Bill Gallagher. I
Everybody,
love
well,
Bill
if you're north
Gallagher.
and South Carolina, you know Bill Gallagher, hauling and
He
hoping,
is the
pitching and praying. We love that man.
he is the best. He is so kind. We used to go to lunch together and all that. And man, he is such a good person. But anyway, I've been thinking about reaching out to him because he's so successful with his school and stuff. And but the thing too is I love to build a school where agents could come and learn about this stuff, learn about photography and measuring and all this stuff and drone and all that stuff where they can take it back and use it for their team and business and all that. But yeah, I'd love to do anything you've got that like that. I'd love to participate.
I mean, I've
So
never done it before. It just occurred to me off the top of my head that some of our listeners and viewers might be interested to know what it looks like. And I don't know what Bill Gallagher will say, but I'll just speak on behalf of him because I love him all to pieces. I bet you $1 he'll say yes to being a consultant for your school because he needs something to do with his free time. And Bill, I know you're listening to this and you see this, so totally calling you out here. And if you say no, I'm gonna tell Cindy Chandler on you. So that's how that goes. All right, Bill. So obviously
love you, Bill.
I love him so much. Hang on to the young people do the Korean heart now. So I learned this from
Is
my
that
friend.
what it is? Yeah. My
Yes,
son just got back
taught
from
me from.
Korea, so he hasn't taught me that yet. So
Oh, Korea's cool. All right. So obviously we have rambled all over the place. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Bill, if somebody wants to reach out to you about how they can learn better marketing skills, how do they learn about their area? What should they know about Little River, South Carolina? They want to talk to your wife about a retired kindergarten life. How do they find Bill Whitaker?
the easiest way is to find me at my website, rpm.com. I'm also now with your motivation, I'm now have Instagram. They will not give me a Facebook. I have been banned from Facebook, so I got to figure something out with that. I left in 2016, and I'm sure you know about reason why. And then I'm
Yeah, they
also
put on my surprise face.
and then I'm also on LinkedIn and I'm also on YouTube. I've got some videos, structured videos, stuff like that. But mainly you can find me on LinkedIn or find me on my website. But you can always call me. If you ever have any questions about measuring, I'm always, here. Can I tell my phone number or not?
You absolutely can. I mean, I'm going
Perfect.
to show notes
Yeah.
anyway, but if somebody's sitting there with bated breath and an ink pen, let's tell them.
Yeah, feel free to reach out. I mean, whether you're my client or not, I'd love to help you if you got a question about measuring and stuff. 803-412-8209. And, you can always send me an email at rawtaperpm at gmail.com. But yeah, go to my website and check it out. I changed the theme. I now have a beach theme
I think
website.
it's good. Good call.
So, but yeah, I love to anybody who has any questions. I'd love to help you with that. So if you're coming to Myrtle Beach, let me know. I've got a nice little rental property right there, 1 block off the beach. We renovated it. It's a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhouse. So, but it's a great location right close to the airport, Market Common, and all that stuff. So,
And I know we have a lot of listeners in Ohio, and your whole state empties out to Myrtle Beach. So y'all have a good reason to call Bill and the rest of y'all. His contact information and all of the links and handles are in the show notes for this episode. So please reach out. Make sure you've hit the bell to subscribe because when I bring Bill back, we're going to do something we've never done before and do a live for your viewing pleasure. Watch me coach Bill and hurt his feelings a little bit as he gets
Yes.
business rebooted, but that's what it's about. But Bill, I'm so grateful for you for all that you've done in the real estate space here, and I'm excited for your journey at the beach. And I love these ideas for taking the real estate marketing up 5 notches and making the realtor brand a more defensible value. So thank you for all that you're doing for everybody in the profession, and so grateful that you decided to come on the show with me.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was so great seeing you. And again, last time I think we saw each other was at a Coastal Carolina that you were, I think, at the Grand Dune speaking. So I got to chat with you face to face there. But it's just great seeing you and
It's time
watching.
for Laura and Kathleen to bring me back. It's been about a minute. And so, Laura and Kathleen, I know you're watching this too. So let me come back sometime.
Yeah, they need to bring you back to town because I mean, that room was packed full of people.
We
And
had a
I
good
was Yeah, and you took the time to say hello and let me chat with you a little bit and stuff. So, but that's been years ago. But yeah,
Well, I'm always glad to help, and it's what makes our business worth doing is all the wonderful relationships, and I'm so grateful for you, and thank you for coming on the show, friends. Say something nice about Bill, give us a comment, give us a link, and most importantly, come back and see us next time.
Woo, Myrtle Beach. All right, now take care.
By the way, friends, don't miss my brand new coaching program at answers.realestate, where you can have access to Leigh Brown, submit your questions, have them answered, meet like-minded professionals, have an entire library to help you build your business no matter what happens in the market. Get signed up today. I promise you'll be glad you did. As always, I'm so super thrilled that you joined in for more crazy shit. And if you're a realtor, investor, inspector, lender, or just a regular human being who happens to have an unbelievable story that you need to tell the world about, or frankly, you just need to one-up the story you just heard, then make sure to DM me on Instagram at Leigh Thomas Brown, or tweet me at Leigh Brown, or frankly, any social network where you hang out. I'm there. And if you had some fun, then you totally want to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.